Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christenson, and joining me, as always, trying to console me after whatever happened to the Pacers and their loss to the 2019 Orlando Magic last night. How's it going, Andy?
You know, you went 2-1. So let's do silver linings. I believe Oklahoma City may not have trailed for any, substantial amount of that game. There was a little bit of a lull there in the second half where they let them back in, but then I looked back at the score and suddenly they're up by 20 again. It is indeed, as a wise man once said, a game of runs. And then I looked at the end of the score. It's like, they're only up by like 5 or 6 at the end. Weren't they just up by 20? NBA is annoying like that. And basketball in general, there are runs and it sucks, and such is life. But yeah, the Bucks first quarter was easy. The Oklahoma City's was easy, and the Pacers will just move on. 2-1, easy peasy. We'll move on to our Thursday night. Is there a decent slate tonight or not? I didn't look at the slate yet, and I noticed you only have one slate. Okay.
It's another 3-game slate. Again, I guess TNT is still too afraid to put these games on, but we still get stuck with the TNT style schedule. Hopefully we'll figure something out there. My Sixers are playing. That's the first game. Toronto's visiting. The Sixers are favored. There's no Joel Embiid. There's no Tobias Harris. A bunch of other people are out, and that just line makes my head hurt. I feel like the right side is the Raptors, and again, it might be having the Pacers go against me last night. The Raptors plus money here seems almost too easy. It's a back-to-back for them, but I'm going to pass on that one. We'll talk about the Clippers again. That's the late game, and then the middle game, Indiana-Utah. I'm definitely not betting Indiana. Thought about maybe laying the points with Utah, but I don't know if, Andy, I'm necessarily in the most mentally stable, unbiased place to make a decision like that.
No.
So instead, we'll take the Clippers. We got the late game here. This number is kind of on the move. Poke around. I was able to get a 2.5 and a little bit at 3. You can do basically look around. I think there should still be a 3.5 somewhere. 4 is probably okay. You just look at this spot for Miami, a tremendously bad rest spot for them. They played last night, lost outright to the Lakers here. So this will be I believe it's a 3 and 4 for them. Or no, I'm sorry, it's just a back-to-back for them. No, it is. I'm sorry, 3 and 4, a back-to-back for them. Off 2 losses here. It looks like Jimmy Butler might be hurt. At the very least, they're considering resting some other guys here. So Butler's questionable. Tucker's questionable. Markieff Morris is questionable. Tyler Hero's questionable. Bam Adebayo has been kind of floating in and out of injury reports late the last couple of days. So you're going to have a tired, beat-up Miami Heat team here coming in against a Clipper squad that should be just fine, has been playing nice basketball. And again, as much as I'm down on this team and still like all the under bets I placed early in the season, this is just a great spot for them. Similar to kind of betting the Bulls as a favorite over the Nets the other night when I talked about the idea that, a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, why were the Nets an underdog? Why are the Heat an underdog tonight? But that's why the schedule stuff is so important. That's why it's so important to look at the injury report and stuff like this. So Clippers -3, play this out to 4. I have it at 6. So let's draw the line at 4. Again, a little bit of upside as some more of these guys come out. So get on this now. Again, I think it's going to move and continue to move as, Butler maybe is announced out and some other guys.
Yeah. What if who's the other one? I remembered somebody in the chat who will remain. Well, I mean, he uses a pseudonym, so I guess I can just say Doc, whatever. But what were we going to circle and throw red lines at or red arrows at that he said? It was Bam and somebody else was going to be out.
Yes. You're right. I forget what the other one was. But
too many people chatted in there and they pushed it all out. Oh, Bam and Jimmy. So
Jimmy looked like with his ankle, he's that could be tough. But yeah, Bam is another one. He's been floating in and out.
That was my question. Was is that kind of built in already, or where does this number end up if Bam and Jimmy are both out? Does it end up at 6.5?
Yeah, I think this maybe even gets out. If Bam and Jimmy are out, this might float out to a 7. Kind of somewhere in that range. I don't know if it'll get any deeper than that. It's, generally what you have in these situations when players are questionable, what bookmakers kind of do is put the line somewhere in between where it's going to be. So my guess is, they probably already made 2, maybe 3-point adjustment, honestly, to things here so far. My guess is maybe there's another 2 points or so. Not that either one of them is worth that many points, but the both of them combined, especially if Hero's out as well, it just could be, the 3 or 4 most important Heat players, most of them being out tonight. So
Sure.
it could, I think, get to 7, maybe even deeper than that, but it's always hard to tell.
All right. No, I'm just kind of curious what they're worth and if some of that was kind of built in already, if they were taking a semi-middle, sitting on the fence position, thinking there might be some rest. I got you.
Yeah.
Just trying to educate my brain, and
I like
also
it.
since we're recording and streaming this, other people can listen in while we're doing it.
Yeah,
Tennis. Are we going back to Austria? I didn't know. I didn't know
well,
these
we
were.
are, but continuing the theme of finding out injuries and weird stuff as
Yeah.
things are going on, it appears Miss Halep has withdrawn from this tournament early this morning. Poke around, take a look. I don't think that everybody necessarily knows that this has happened yet. You may or may not even be able to get a nice price on some futures markets that are still open. So don't play this bet. This match is not going to happen. Halep is out of the tournament, it looks like. Did like the over there, but we'll have to skip that one there. Poke around, see if any of your books are a little bit lazy. They'll have some futures open. Grab some Christian. She's 14-1. It looks like she'll be in the final. Worst case, we've got a number that we can hedge out very easily there. Not sure what happens here with Danielle Collins or Allison Risk, but we got Christian. It looks like 14-1 walking into the final here. So go ahead and take some bad futures at books that you don't really maybe care about keeping.
Yeah, and I mean it's similar to some of the things you see some early in January. This happened like 3 times. I feel like this happened before we even got to the players. If anyone remembers some of these things in golf, where you have a big golf market, which obviously has a big overround, a big hold anyway, and sucks. But when you ended up, I believe John Rahm was like a 5-6 to 1 favorite in a tournament that had 150 men in it. He ended up withdrawing, and of course the books need to adjust, take his massive win probability, and apply it to some other people, so everyone's odds will drop. But nobody does it right away. It doesn't just drop off the board instantly. I don't think they're too worried about getting hurt too bad, because again, they're sitting there with the 40% hold and nothing's
Right.
going to hurt them. So it's kind of the same situation here with the tennis. You've got an hour or two maybe to kind of mess around and see if you can find some futures. And you recommended Christian.
Yeah.
All right, do it up. So
yeah, Christian again, because you're going to basically get somebody at double digits who's going to be in the semi. It's going to be in the final. If it's Risk, that'll be a nice hedge. Even if it's Collins, she's going to be minus 300, somewhere in that range. So
I like it. I'm down. Football. We got football. It is Thursday night.
Might as well have some football.
Yeah. I'm going to play a teaser. I went over all the teaser legs yesterday. Some are worse than others.
Wait, hold on. What is going on here? The Browns have a logo that's an elf of some sort?
It's a brownie.
Oh.
A brownie is a small mythical creature in the realm of elves, dwarves, pixies, sprites, and other things.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, so that logo is old. That's from like the 50s. This was a power, and people who want to shit on the Browns because they haven't been good since like the 80s. This was a powerhouse team back in the 50s. Jim Brown, and
Then they moved to Baltimore.
A lot of championships. Somebody says seems racist. Against who? Like, I'm not sure who the Fighting Irish guy is more racist than this guy. He's just a cute little.
It's just creepy. I just don't like it.
Yeah, Brownie. It's
like the feel like one of those really old Looney Tunes cartoons. That,
yeah, I mean, it's like a
quite figured it out yet.
Right. Look at it. Google Brownie, and either way, and the Ravens just have a nice logo with the Maryland flag in it, which is a beautiful flag. Either way, I've given away the spoiler if you're listening to this in podcast form. It is the Ravens and Browns. Anyone who's watching can see it on the screen already. Ravens tonight. That's why I'm doing this teaser a little early. I am using the Thursday night football game minus 7.5 using a 6-point teaser. Please try to find a book that gives you this at minus 110. It's a lot tougher to get this to win long term if you're paying minus 120, minus 141 at some places. But Ravens minus 1.5, Browns plus 8.5, 6-point teaser. Both of these are lower totals. I like both of these teams as far as if I had to bet a side, just straight up, I would use both these teams. I like both of these defenses. Not that the Ravens defense has been good this year, but I like their matchup against the Miami tonight. I definitely like the Browns defense against a bad offensive line in New England and a rookie quarterback, despite the fact that they're facing a decent head coach and a good program. So Ravens -1.5, Browns +8.5, -110 6-point teaser, and probably not the last teaser I play this weekend.
I like it. We talked about it yesterday. It's a teaser weekend. I like that. I'm going to go in and I'll tail this one. I think I'm going to have the Ravens and a bunch of stuff. This just feels like a really nice spot for them, doesn't it?
It kind of really does. Like it's maybe one of my favorite. They're going to lose this game by 30 because it's my favorite teaser leg in quite a while. So that's my main one. I did combine it with a bunch of other ones for smaller stakes. So adjust your bets accordingly.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, and it's always good to have a little teaser going in here. What else should we do? Is there anything else we should be betting?
I think we should probably see who scores first. And if it's chalky, I won't even feel as bad because I think we're gonna. Who is the chalk and first touchdown scorer? Haven't looked at the market yet, Alex.
Well, it's we're going to talk about that one. It's one of the rare opportunities where I went and looked at everything, Andy, and things were really clear, but instead of having some first touchdown score numbers where, normally we've got some 4-1, some 5-1, some 6-1s sitting at the very top of the market. Now, some places he is 6-1, but there's still some +800, some 8-1s out there. Lamar Jackson, again, normally someone that is like 5-1 or worse. Now, he has only scored a rushing touchdown in one game. And scored 2 in those. So it's been quite some time, but you look at this game, there is a very high concentration and kind of red zone opportunities and targets in this game. Lamar Jackson just takes up an absolute ton of those. You look through here, the next guy up in terms of red zone opportunities. Again, we like tight ends here quite a bit. This is just a nice kind of off-market number here for Andrews. He's usually 8-1 or less, which is generally where he should be. Look around. There's some 9-1s or better. Try to avoid the 8. Stick with the 9. Again, you look at it, Lamar Jackson gets a ton of running opportunities, and Mark Andrews is really the only name, kind of besides Hollywood Brown, that soaks up some red zone targets, but he even gets more. And then the other Ravens receiver I like quite a bit. We'll jump down to the bottom real quick. Bateman here. I think that the books are just a little bit slow to catch up to the rookie who had some injury problems and came in here a little bit late, has kind of stepped in and taken some targets from a guy like Devin Duvernay, who was fun to play in this market at a big number. Just immediately jumped up the list here, is getting 6 to 8 targets a game. His last couple games is starting to climb up the board here a little bit in the red zone target share. But I think, again, they're just a little slow reacting to that. Poke around. I think this at 16-1 or better is a good number, and you can find that a couple places. Your best number being 18-1. Myles Gaskin here as we get to the Dolphins. Again, this one's a little off market. There's some 8s out there, some 9s. I think anything double digits is good here. Easily the leader in rushing attempts in terms of the red zone, especially the last few weeks for the Dolphins, but also top 2 in terms of red zone targets. The number 1 player in red zone targets, Andy, Waddle. You look down there. I mean, basically, once they get down to the red zone, they're looking for Waddle. They're either throwing to Gaskin or running the ball, just feeding a lot of targets his way. So, some smaller numbers than usual that we're used to seeing. And I looked, there was really no big names here. A little disappointed that I don't think we're 100% sure who's going to be the quarterback here at the Dolphins. If it is Tua, if that gets announced, look around. Anything 30-1 or better on him is worth a look. If it is Brissett, try to look for 25-1 or better. But at this point, because I don't know, I can't advise either one. But I don't think that books are necessarily be super quick to update or adjust those. So look around, try to get an idea for what you have. And as soon as the news comes out, see if you can grab some of that.
And there's a term being thrown around in the chat. I think I first saw it. Same guy probably originated it in the golf Slack chat over there. Is if you lose this one, obviously you had to place it with another leg. I chose the Browns among other teams. You just take all those teams and mash them together. And when you do a bunch of Wongs, you call it the Wong Burger. And when you do this and you have to chase your losses, it's the Wong Burger Gale, like as in the Martingale. So it's a pretty easy system, guys. We're not gonna worry about this one too much because this one's coming in, I think for sure. And somebody brings up Tyson Williams in the chat. I looked at him a little too. Just hasn't got. He's gotten one.
Doesn't have the workload, yeah.
Yeah, he's only had one red zone look in the last 5 games. It's just I like it. I like what they're doing, but the fact that they brought in all these old running backs and they're giving weird amounts of red zone looks. Like Le'Veon and Devonta Freeman got 3 red zone looks last week, and the fact that they're doing it with old running backs is goofy. A good point you brought up was the Rashad Bateman, Minnesota Gopher, by the way, very good player. That was a nice draft pick. I like that by them. It really sucked that he was injured at the beginning of the year because that was a big concern. Like they needed to get this passing game to catch up with what they were doing in the running game, and then obviously every running back got hurt anyway. So things ended up a little wonky. Although this team is sitting in the 2 seed right now, so I guess they handled it pretty well by signing old running backs and somehow making it work. But Marquise Brown is still their number one. And like you mentioned, Rashad Bateman's back. He's not taking workload from Brown. He's not taking target shares from Brown. He's taking it from Devin Duvernay. I feel like a fantasy nerd when we start talking about this sort of thing, but like that's kind of what has happened with this. Like he's not gonna take food off the number one's plate. So the fact that Marquise is sitting at 4 receptions, I like this one quite a bit. In my prize picks entry, over 4 receptions for Marquise. And yeah, I mean it's not something he does less than. I think he's had fewer than 4 receptions in one game all season, and his target share has just been nice. They did run a little more, but they still had plenty of targets to go around last week, and he's obviously going to get his. If he's not doing it like that one horse shit game from earlier in the year where he dropped a bunch of balls, I think we're going to be just fine here. And on the other side of the ball, the Ravens, I mentioned the defense is good enough for me to not care about, worry about too many things and getting backdoored out of a Wong teaser here. But this is a very bad defense against tight ends, which hopefully maybe it does work out for anyone who's playing tight end props. In fact, there are a few tight ends over in you got Durham Smythe and Adam Shaheen. I never know how to say that guy's name. He only gets his name called like once or twice a game, but both of those guys are set at 8.5 reception yards at prize picks right now. I don't mind taking some punts on those either, but I use Gesicki over 50.5 here. They are the second or first worst team against tight ends for the season so far, depending which metric you look at. They've been giving up gobs of yards over the middle to the tight ends. Miami is somebody who's going to target those more aggressively than other teams as well. So Gesicki over 50.5 yards. Power play, if you get both these right, 3-1 on my money. That's what we're after.
Like
and if you want to play along, promo code BBB, and you can get yourself some instant deposit money. And as well as that, the instant deposit match up to $100 if you do an entry tonight for new users, and especially those in Maryland, where Baltimore is based out of, if my geography is correct. They're a new state that PrizePicks has just recently become offered in. So if you live in Maryland and you thought you couldn't play, you actually can now. I was alerted to that the other week. But if you are placing a Baltimore versus Miami entry, you get a free $25 on top of the deposit bonus if Lamar completes a pass, which I think he will, especially since I did say that Hollywood Brown is going to have at least 4 catches tonight. Use promo code BETSPERTS NFL, BBB, any of the promo codes.
Good night for receivers.
They're all the same. All the promo codes, it's all the same. It all goes to the same place. We just want to get you some free money. Thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up. Thanks for hanging out. Glad we could help you out with some picks and analysis today. Hopefully the NBA stays hot for you, Big Al, and hopefully football goes fun tonight.
Let's do it, people.
Let's do it.